Shalom, Boker Tov, everyone. Rabbi Eric Solomon. I'm actually at JFK, returning after a powerful trip to Israel this past week, which I'll share more about. Many of you following me have heard my experiences. It's still ringing through my neshama, but I will share more on Shabbat and going forward. Here's when I say a piece of Torah as I return back to Raleigh for Shabbat. The Parshas Toldot deals a lot with Jacob and Esau and the challenges they have. And Jacob, because he's our Jewish people's progenitor, one of the Avot, and his parents are too. We follow Jacob, and Esau gets a bad rap in our tradition. But the truth of the matter is, when you look at the text, it's pshat level, the basic level. Esau is not such a bad guy. He's not. Whatever the rabbis tell you. He may not be the R figure we want to model ourselves after, but doesn't mean he's so a villain. And in fact, he gets tricked by Jacob. Jacob's not perfect either. So do I say this? It's not just what the text says. It's how the narrative we tell about the text, how we look at it, that frames our conversation, even on the Torah, really on anything. Same with what's happening in Israel and in Gaza right now. We all have a narrative about what we think has happened, seeing happen, what we believe should happen, who's right in the situation. I have one too. There's no question my narrative is rooted in the idea that the Jewish people has a right to sovereignty on its land, that the Jewish people has a right to self-governance and protection, to protect its people, has a right to defend itself, and needs to do so against the Hamas terrorists. But that narrative, my narrative, must also include the fact that it is true there are innocent Palestinians, including children, who are being hurt and being killed. And I care about that too, as a Jew. And my narrative has to include the fact that the hostages are being held. Children, babies, adults, seniors, Holocaust, underground against their will. I can't even imagine the fear. And there also are people of other nationalities being held against their will. My concern cannot simply be only for Israel, although it is true. It has to include all of the challenge here, or my narrative is incomplete. Where I want to push this forward, of course, is other people commenting on the conflict. I see people through my social media and other connections who only focus on Palestinian suffering. That is their narrative. And there is Palestinian suffering. But if you only focus on that and don't include the hostages, the massacre, the feeling of insecurity, the attacks from Hezbollah in the north, what Israelis feel, then your narrative is too narrow. The challenge at this time, in this time of war, which I believe is 100% justified and necessary to defeat Hamas, you still have to hold that all of these people, innocents from both sides of the Gaza line, are suffering because of Hamas. And that may be hard to hold. Hold it, both these things. So instead of jumping into, I'm with Jacob, I'm against Esau, like our rabbis did, I'm going to invite us to go beyond that. Yes, okay, I'm with Jacob too. I am. But Esau there are people who are not the devil over there. We are not against the Palestinians. We are against the wanton, depraved murderers of Hamas. And we need to hold in place different rooms in our heart to be sure we don't go completely us versus them, Palestinians. It's us, including people who are Palestinian, who support a political, non-violent, free two states next to each other against extremists who want to kill wantonly. That's a narrative that includes all, that has, as they say in the Talmud, a heart of many things. Very difficult to do. But if we give in to narratives that are one-sided and flat in either way, then we're going to do what the rabbis did to Esau, and the extremists will not. We cannot let that happen. Praying for all of Israel, praying for all innocents, praying for the IDF to do its work in the most moral and, please God, preserving as many limiting civilian hurt as possible. The hashish return as soon as possible, please God, this Shabbat. And we look forward to seeing everyone at Shul. More stories and more Torah to share on Shabbat morning. Shabbat Shalom.